Okay, what is up, y'all? So I am SuperViperT302. My estimate is incorrect on the layout. So you just watched Mario Kart DS, and that run was kind of boring, so I'm going to play a much better game now. So I'm going to be going through all 16 of these tracks, and this game is broken insanely, so you're gonna enjoy this one. So I am ready when... Are you ready for a countdown?
Ready whenever.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so 11 of these 16 tracks have shortcuts that you can go for, including this one right here. There we go. So I opt that start boost, which is just, you just have to press A at a specific time during the countdown and you can get that start boost. And then since Yoshi is a lightweight, I was able to do that boost into DK, who's a heavyweight, and then jump off of him to get over that wall, because that wall doesn't have collision in the English version of the game. And that skip saves like 12 or 13 seconds, it's pretty high. So now what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to get the item block from this balloon. Got it. There is always a blue shell in that item block, so I'm going to use this for something special at the start of lap 3. So until then, I do want to touch on this driving technique you're seeing me do here. This is what's called a... Nice banana. This is what's called a mini turbo. So as I'm drifting, I'm oscillating the control stick back and forth at various intervals, which is building up this charge, as you can see my smoke's kind of changing color. And once the smoke is orange, I can release it and gain a small speed boost. It's kind of the main technique for going fast in this game. So that's skip number 2. Similar to what I did on lap 1, I just used the blue shell because I'm in first place, it aims for me. And I'm able to use it to get a ride over that wall and save another 13 or so seconds. So that was the first, this is only the first track in the run, and we already just did 2 pretty big skips. It's only going to get better from here. So yeah, during these point screens, I'm going to be holding start and mashing A, and that's just how you get through them faster. You kind of have to be told how to do it before you know how to do it. Anyways, here's Moo Farm. No skips or shortcuts on this track. Only thing I really have to worry about is the RNG moles. So I am going to use this time to kind of talk about some of the basics behind this game. So first of all, I'm playing as Yoshi. Yoshi, Toad, and Peach all tie for having the highest top speed. So technically they're all efficient characters to use, and they're all the lightweights as well. The main differences between them are Yoshi and Peach are just slightly heavier than Toad. Nice mole. So they get kind of bumped around less by the heavier characters. The main difference, though, is that Yoshi is quicker to select off the kart menu. He's just 1 down from Mario, whereas Peach and Toad, you have to move the cursor around a little bit. So that's pretty beneficial. Also, Yoshi generally makes less annoying sounds. I'm getting wrecked by items. The CPUs in this game, okay, they are kind of weird. When they rubber band, so if you don't know what rubber banding is, basically it's when you're far ahead of the CPUs, they kind of speed up and catch up to you. They do so in a weird way in this game. So when a CPU is off camera, physics just stop applying to them, so they're constantly in a boost state, and they can also drive through walls. It's very unlikely that you'll see that happen, but just... Wow, this is a very bad Moo Farm. That's what happens when you kind of play it risky like I did there. Yeah, because optimally I can do that in like a minute 15 in game time. It's alright though, that is a very difficult track to drive on, and those moles are the bane of every time trialer in existence. Something else about the CPUs is that they're actually relatively tame with items. They cannot pick up or throw shells of any kind, and the 8th place CPU only has a 1% chance of using the lightning. So it can happen, it's just really rare. Alright, so here's Koopa Troopa Beach. So there's no fancy skips on this track, but there are a couple of small time savers that I'll be going for, such as this tunnel jump right here. This is allowed in the no skips category, since this was very obviously built into the course. Do that. In addition to that, I'm going to go for another glitch here that does not qualify as a skip. I'm going to grab this item block and kind of head off to the right here. Alright, so I just got triple mushrooms. You cannot normally get this item in first place, but what I did was I kind of went to the right of the finish line where there's some mismapped polygons that basically make the game think you're behind by a lap. And while I'm on, so it's basically, it thought for a few frames that I was in 8th place, and so by activating an item, I was able to get an 8th place item. I got kind of lucky there. Triple mushrooms is a good speed item. You want any kind of speed item behind in this kind of boxes. Optimally, though, you'll want something like a star or a golden mushroom, because those give you a very good time save advantage. That glitch exists in other courses as well, but it's easiest to do and most convenient in this track. And in case you're wondering, the item probabilities in this game are known. For example, I just got a mushroom in first place, and that's a 10% chance. However, you cannot reasonably control, like, which items you get and when. So for the most part, it's still RNG. This run does have a lot of RNG, in case you haven't noticed. I'm including up the next track, which is the first track to have a skip that requires me to get a specific item. There is a variety of outcomes I can go for here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab an item and then fall back into 8th place. My primary preference here is a star. But if I get, like, red shells or something, then I can also do some useful stuff with that. So I'm going to grab this item, or not grab the item block. It's okay, I need to... Okay, neither of those are really good items. It's okay, I'm just gonna get the item boxes up ahead. You have plenty of opportunities to get this. Again, my primary choice here is a star. Okay, not very good. Okay, the game likes giving me lightnings right now. This is kind of one of those things that can just happen. This, again, sometimes the game just does not want to be nice to you and give you what you need. So I'm just going to stay at these item boxes until I get what I want. Okay, there we go. Kind of sloppy RNG, but it'll work. So what's your intent? So this is actually an intended shortcut that was programmed into the game. So what you would normally do is you would go through the train tracks the normal way, and as you cross by the finish line, you would activate the star, and it's progresses you forward a lap. However, the developers, being great that they are, didn't take into account that you can just enter through the tunnel this way. So I'm going to wait until he tells me to turn around there, activate the star, turn around, and skip a lap. So yeah, that's an unintended shortcut done that's an intended shortcut done in an unintended way. If you happen to get red shells, you can also do some interesting stuff with those. You can kind of fire them off, coming off to the left here, and they'll get stuck at the wall and allow you to climb over. Pretty neat. And after the last race of every cup, I reset the console just because it allows me to get to the next cup quicker. Because you don't have to watch the trophy ceremony in this category. The goal is to just complete every race. So here's Toad's Turnpike. This has one of the more trickier shortcuts in the run, so let's see if this goes well. Okay. That was not a mistake, that was intentional. Okay, so that's probably not going to work the way I wanted to, but at least I got that at all. So what I did there is, when you go out of bounds in this game, and while like Q2 is still on the screen after picking you up, he actually can't pick you up again. So what I did there was, after I got placed back down, I was actually able to beat him out of bounds. And so it gave me kind of free roam of the area for a little bit. And as a result, I was able to jump down to the lower level. Unfortunately, I did not do that the proper way, so I have to do this again. That was much better. So by doing that and staying above the road when you do that first shortcut, I was kind of off to the left on the first lap. That actually sets me up to to kind of skip half the lap in a much easier way. So basically, I just broke the checkpoint system. So what this means here is that once I cross the finish line, I'm just going to be able to veer off to the right for a little bit, and then jump out of bounds, and it just puts me forward by half a lap. So yeah, that's very convenient that works out. That actually doesn't work in the Japanese 1.0 version of the game. They tried to fix something for the later releases that ended up breaking that. These vehicles are on cycles, but I never memorized what cycles they're on, so you just kind of have to wing it and hope for the best. Thankfully, I didn't hit any of them. That's even with having to do the normal shortcut on lap 2, that's a very good time for me for Toad's Turnpike. I'm very happy with how that went. And since I'm playing on the Nintendo 64, there is going to be a little bit of lag. Here's Frappe Snowland, which has a shortcut you can try at home, ladies and gentlemen. So literally all you have to do is this. You turn around, head backwards, go to the bridge, jump from the bridge into the snow without touching the road. That might not have worked. Then you have to cross the finish line and go out of bounds. Hopefully this works. That's not going to work. Yeah. I was a little bit hasty. So this is what you're supposed to do. I have the progress meter showed up so you can kind of see. Watch what happens. After I get placed down, I just jump from 8th to 1st. So basically what that means is I can just keep doing that over and over again. And I'll just keep going lap by lap by lap. If you take this safe, this is definitely the easiest shortcut in the game. And it saves a huge chunk of time, because you just skip every lap. So if you want to wreck your friends in this game, you can just do that during a race. It's pretty hilarious. Like, you can finish all 3 laps faster than a no-skips player could finish 1. Okay, now it's time for Choco Mountain, which is one of the harder courses in the run for sure. A definite run killer here. So this is the first of 2 tracks where I'm going to be going for wall jumps, which, if you have the right speed and angle, and it has to be really precise, and you hit a precise point on the wall, you have a 1-frame window to make the jump. I'm going to be going for 2 of them here. One of them is a backup jump. Okay, I messed that up. I hit the wrong part of the wall there. So I'm going to go for the backup jump here. This is much easier. Got it. That's a slightly more lenient jump, but it's... I'm going to go for that hill jump on all 3 laps, though, but again, it's frame perfect. You have to hit a specific point on the wall, and sometimes it is literally impossible. And maybe we'll get to see that. But I am hoping I get this at least once. Okay, that right there is how it's impossible. So what happened there was I actually got what's known as a 0-frame jump, and I also got one right there, where sometimes your speed is so high that there literally is not a single frame where you're allowed to make the jump. It's 1 frame is before you're able to make the jump, the next frame is after you're able to make it, so you'll just tumble straight away. It's kind of annoying when that happens, but something you gotta live with. This is a very, very difficult track. I am gonna try and see if I can get this though. Sadly, I'm not going to be able to show off that jump. It skips a huge portion, and it's a really big jump. So, okay, at least I got the backup jump fairly quickly on all 3 laps. Not a great Choco, but it could have gone way worse, so I'll take it. A little sad that I didn't get to show off the big jump, because it does look really cool when you get it, because you jump just over this entire hill. Alright, so up next is Mario Raceway. So, there actually are shortcuts on this track that you can go for, involving either a speed item or a red shell. I do not know the red shell shortcut. I don't know how to do the red shell shortcut consistently, and I'm not very good at the mushroom shortcut, but if I get a mushroom, I'm probably just going to try it for the sake of the marathon. So, get some Bless RNGs in the chat, maybe. But again, I'm really bad at it, so don't expect me to get it. Otherwise, this will probably be a no-skip track. I'm going to pull onto this booth here, because the nice thing about booths is that they give you invincibility frames, so you can use them to go through otherwise harmful obstacles, such as these piranha plants right here. It's worth noting that when you use a boo, it actually functions exactly like a normal item box. You're not stealing items from other CPUs, and you have the same probabilities of getting items you normally would. Although you also have a 20% chance of getting nothing. Alright, this is my last chance to get a mushroom. I'll try to skip, and I didn't get it. So what you would do is you would kind of hop over the wall that I just passed in front of, and you would end up in this region over here. And it just saves a few seconds. It doesn't save that much time though, because this track is really short. It's also worth noting, though, that driving across the grass is also not classified as a skip. Now it's time for Wario Stadium. This can either be a 30-second track or it can take over a minute. It really just depends on how nice the game wants to be for me today. So a really well-known shortcut here, you can just kind of jump right over this first wall. Lesser-known shortcut, you can actually jump right back over, and I just jumped right behind the finish. I jumped in front of the finish line, so it didn't put me back in the game. This is a really hard trap. There we go. So that's another one of those wall jumps that's frame perfect and sometimes literally impossible. Like right there, I got 0 frames. There we go. Made it over nicely there. So now I just got to do both of those jumps one more time and the race will be over. That was really good. 33 seconds. If I hadn't landed on the opposite side of the finish line on lap 1, that would have been a really good Wario Stadium for me. I definitely would have accepted that. Anything in the 30s is usually acceptable for me. That is a very hard track to do. It is not often that it's not uncommon to just run into the second wall endlessly and never get over. All right, so here's Sherbert Land. No skips or shortcuts in this track, so you get a little bit of a break. The penguins are on cycles, so I have to keep that in mind. So, provided I drive on the same schedule, they'll be on the same schedule, but of course that requires me to not run into any items, which is kind of a comedy for me anyways. Something I want to kind of briefly touch upon here is what you saw me do in Wario Stadium at one point. You saw me kind of accelerate quickly from a stop. Every character has this ability, but it's most beneficial for the 3 lightweights, Yoshi, Toad, and Peach, and also Bowser kind of benefits from it. Where if you're at a stop and you triple tap the A button, you'll accelerate a lot quicker. Another thing is that you can also triple tap B to stop quicker, and if you are about to spin out, like if you hit a banana, or if you can actually spin yourself out in 150cc, that's the only mode you can spin yourself out in. So, if you're about to spin out, you just like slow down or mash the B button, and you actually can stop yourself from spinning out, which is pretty neat. Alright, so hopefully I don't run into anything that's in the tunnel here. So far, this has been a really good Sherbert Land. If I hit one, it's not a huge deal. I'll just like get pushed back by a little bit. Okay, I didn't hit either of those. Hopefully I don't fall into the water here. If you fall into the water, it takes an extra amount of time on this track because you turn into a frozen ice cube, and it takes a couple extra seconds to break out of it. Okay, I split a little late on Wario Stadium, but I just rolled with that split. That was a really, really good Sherbert Land. Basically, I couldn't have asked for anything better than that. Alright, and playing on that track without skips is boring, so we're going to go right back to tracks that have skips. So, this is Royal Raceway, which has a relatively big shortcut on it, and it's honestly not that hard to do. At least slowly. Doing it fast is a bit more difficult. Alright. So you see that polygon? You probably can't see it right now, but you might have briefly seen a polygon line. You want to hit just to the right of that polygon line, and basically it makes the game think you attempted to jump from that huge ramp and missed. So it puts you like 13 seconds into the track, and it saves a pretty good chunk of time. It's really hard to do without setting up, but obviously I've been playing this game for a while, so I'm kind of good at it. There is a second shortcut on this track that I'm probably not going to go for at all because it's way too hard and doesn't save that much time. That should work. If you get the poop, then you know you got it. And for this ramp, you can actually kind of veer off to the left and hit the wall that's right near the final turn and then get placed around the final turn. It saves less than a second and it's really, really precise, so I don't normally go for it. Because it's kind of that high-risk, low-reward situation. Alright, I just gotta do that jump one more time, and hopefully this goes well. Oh, yeah, that's like what I was talking about back in sugar land, you can spin yourself out. There we go. Fortunately, I backed that up kind of okay. Coming up on the end of the track here. Okay, the third lap was a little sloppy, but overall not too bad. At least I got the jump 3 out of 3. And that's really all you can hope for. So sadly, we do have to go back to playing tracks as intended, because Bowser's Castle also does not have any skips or shortcuts, at least none that are humanly viable. What I mean by that is, if you've ever seen the All Cups task by Drew Weatherton, which I would highly recommend checking out immediately after this run, almost every single track actually can have skips, but most of them involve jumping off of CPU players. And since you cannot reasonably predict where the CPUs are going to be in real time, there really isn't any way. There's a couple of CPU jump setups you can do in RTA, like you saw me do one on the Luigi Raceway. There's also potentially one later on that I'm not going to spoil, but we'll find out. So yeah, Bowser's Castle is relatively straightforward for the most part. There's really only a couple tricky sections. I'm going to use this mushroom to cut across the grass here to save a little bit of time. These thwomps are all on cycles, and in 150cc they actually added a third thwomp here. In 50cc there's one thwomp, in 100cc there's 2, and in 150cc there's 3. And then you have those other two thwomps that are like following you and trying to block you off. And it's kind of hard to tell which thwomp you should go under when you get to that room, so usually I just kind of have to guess and hope for it. But they are on cycles, so. And if you get squished by a thwomp, it wastes a huge amount of time. So hopefully, you can also collide with the thwomp head on, and that kind of costs you a little bit of time, so I should be able to go right here. Okay, barely had enough room to squeak under there. Oh, I'm gonna make this one, yeah. It's really hard to dodge those sliding thwomps. Okay, I nearly fell off that bridge though, that would have been bad. That bridge is actually the thinnest part of the game that doesn't have slides. Okay, so I was doing it there. What I was doing there by holding that banana was not as defense, but actually as lag reduction. So if you zoom the screen out like that, by holding an item on a lot of laggy tracks, it actually reduces lag. Which is kind of counterintuitive, but you know, you learn to work with it. Alright, so now it's time to do the final cup. We just got 4 more tracks left and then we'll be done. So now we've got DK Jungle Parkway, and once again we're going to go right back to braking tracks. And what I mean by that is we are just going to turn around at the very start, head into the tunnel, and I'm going to line myself up using a couple of visual cues. And I'm going to kind of drive through this wall, across the finish line. So what's happening here is what's very similar to what happened in Frappe Snowland. I cross the finish line and then have like Keep place me behind the finish line, so it doesn't decrement my lap. Even though I had never really drove an entire lap, I just kind of went back behind the finish line after crossing it. You can land back in the cave when you do this. It doesn't really matter though. It's just a few seconds faster to land in the cave. But as long as you drive by the finish line and then you're usually good to go as long as you just do that. But again, landing in the cave can save a couple extra seconds. Here. There we go. You need a very good lineup in order to do that. Okay. So this is the laggiest track in the game on Nintendo 64. So had I actually grabbed those item boxes and gotten a banana or a fake item box, I would have just held it behind me during this results screen for as long as possible, because that would actually reduce some lag. Again, it kind of sounds counterintuitive because you're showing off more of the game, but it's probably because of like the game will have to use lower res models when viewing stuff from far away. Now, it's time for Yoshi Valley, and this track can also go a variety of ways depending on what items I get here. So I'm actually going to try and see if I can get triple mushrooms here, but if I don't get them, then I have other options. I'll grab this item box, wait for about 5 or 6 CPUs to pass me. Okay, I got a blue shell, that's not useful at all. The res is even less useful. So really any... Oh, wow. I just got absolutely destroyed. That's fine, though. So, I'm taking that right path. That's actually the longest track in the run, in the course, casually. But that allows me to do this. So, yeah, I broke the checkpoint system and was able to jump off there and activate a lap. That only works if you take the far right path. So, massive shout-outs to Adme317 for discovering that, who is the current world record holder for this category. Peach. Oh, man, she snagged my Peach there. Peach had a star there. Okay, yeah, that's what would have happened if she hit me, and I probably would have fallen off. So now I'm going to use these mushrooms to do a pretty big lap skip. So I'm going to line myself up on this dot over here, and then aim for a visual view on the wall. Use the mushrooms and just kind of hop off. Your goal, okay, that probably worked. Your goal is to hit that dark line and kind of get a bounce left. And it worked. So you just skip an entire lap because this game was very well programmed. Alright, so now we are moving on to the second to last track, Banshee Boardwalk, which once again does not have any shortcuts, but I'm taking a look at the CPU charts here. Bowser and Wario are in the top 4. Bowser, Wario, and DK are all the heavyweights. So here's what I want to happen. I want one of them to get first, and I want to get third. And this will set me up to do something really cool on Rainbow Road, but of course the CPUs kind of have to cooperate. And the CPU RNG, so the way this works is you actually have two CPUs that are deemed your rivals, which is so both a primary rival and a secondary rival. And how the game determines this is actually on the character select screen. There's a counter that's kind of just going, and it will select two CPUs that are your rivals. So these are the CPUs that kind of have better rubber banding, and they'll just overall drive better. So I got Wario and Bowser. It looks like one of them is one of my rivals, at least, I'm going to say. So, as long as I have two heavyweights, so one of them is, as long as they both kind of stay up near the front, one of them is guaranteed to get first. Other than that, though, this is just a no-sketch track. So I am going to be kind of paying attention to how the CPUs are doing. I also don't want to use that many items, because I don't want to risk hitting the CPUs and causing them to fall behind, like... Bowser's starting to kind of fall behind here, so we're going to see if we can get Mario and Toad out of the way. Uh-oh. Okay. Sometimes when you hit a banana, you'll just kind of fly forward. Sometimes you just stop. And right there, I was actually kind of hoping for the stop because I didn't want to have to face the reality of falling off. Because although I have a little bit of leniency, I don't have to finish in first. You don't have to finish in first, by the way, to move on to the next. You don't have to you have to come within the top 4 on every race, otherwise you have to redo the race. Unless you tie, but that's extremely rare. Alright, so hopefully that can give Wario the edge he needs, but yeah, things aren't looking good for everybody, so I'm just going to finish the race. So what I would have done, had the CPUs cooperated, was I would have jumped off of one of them at the start of Rainbow Road, but... now I don't get to do that, and now I get to do a shortcut that I am really bad at. So, this is another really famous shortcut on Rainbow Road, where you kind of jump off to the side and you cut off a good chunk of the track. On 150cc, though, this is really hard, so let's see how this goes. That should work. Alright, nice. It's very easy to overshoot that or undershoot that, so I'm really happy that that worked out. So, now that I'm in first place, though, I do need to get a specific item, specifically a green shell, either triples or single, it doesn't matter, because that'll allow me to do something neat at the end of the lap. We got a banana here, so for good luck, we're going to feed DK. Let's see, you have a 35% chance in total of getting green shells in first place, which is triples or singles combined, and that's the highest probability item you can get in first place, so as of right now, RNG is really not looking too good. And I kind of need one, but thankfully since I'm so far ahead of the CPUs, if I don't get one, I can just sit at the item boxes up ahead, and kind of just keep waiting until I get one. I do have to get this before the CPUs catch up to me, though, because you can't get green shells of any kind in any place below third. slowed down near the end. So this is once again going to accomplish something similar to what you saw on Frappe Snowland and DKJP, where I'm just going to cross the finish line via falling using those green shells, and now I'm an entire lap ahead. So that now I have even more time to actually set that up again. So I'm going to try to do this again. Okay, I was a little close to the wall when I did that. So I think I was a little far away. I couldn't really tell, but you need very specific spacing in order for this to work. And once again, RNGs needs to cooperate. Wrong color shell. Okay, here we go. Okay. It's a lot harder to do with a single than a triple. So forgive me here. Aim it a little farther to the right this time. Luckily, though, again, I have plenty of time because the CPUs are really far behind. Okay, don't know how I was kind of faster than the green shell there. I'm really hoping I get this soon because the CPUs are kind of... I don't want the CPUs to make it all the way around. There we go. Sorry that took so long. So this could have been a 30 if I had gotten that on the first try, but at least I got it at all. So time's going to be coming up when I cross the finish line, so get ready for that. And time. Alright, my timer says 31:26, so that was a really sloppy Rainbow Road, but at least I was able to get the green shell on both laps. So yeah, that is Mario Kart 64. So I'm going to plug a couple of things here real quickly. So if you want to see gameplay that is way more impressive than mine just was, follow Abney317, who I was talking about earlier. He is the current world record holder for this category, and also No Skips, and he's a very, very good time trials runner. In addition, if you are interested in learning the time trials, I would highly recommend MarioKart64.com. I myself don't run time trials seriously, but there is a very, very active community for them. So definitely check that out if you have the time. I'm going to be in the marathon 3 more times, though, so don't say goodbye to me just yet. So, yeah. With that, I have nothing else to say, so I will throw it on over to the host.
Okay.